Welcome to the tutorial for Forsaken, an expandable card game for 2 players. By the end of this tutorial, you'll be ready to play the game. Let's get started. In order to play, you'll need to bring a 40 card deck. This could be a pre-constructed sealed deck or a constructed deck that you've built yourself. Forsaken is unique because instead of deploying your resources in one game board, you must choose between 3 distinct zones, called kingdoms. Each kingdom represents its own isolated battleground, which has a friendly side that you control and an enemy side that your opponent controls. You must do your best to defend your side of each kingdom and attack your opponent's side of each kingdom. Your goal is to win 2 out of 3 of these kingdoms. Players will alternate taking turns until one player is victorious. Each player begins the game with a tower on their side of each kingdom. Each tower begins at 10 faith. Your objective is to reduce 2 out of 3 of the enemy towers to 0 faith. When you reduce an enemy tower to 0 faith, you have won that kingdom. You'll accomplish this by attacking your opponent's towers with your followers, playing devastating decrees to push your advantage and prevent your opponent from mounting a good offense, and enhancing your armies with kingdom-wide blessings. If you get into a bind, a miracle may end up saving you from the jaws of defeat. There are 5 gods in the game: Strife, Lord of War; Occult, God of Mysticism; Contagion, God of Decay; Grandeur, God of Glory; Infestation, God of Growth. Each god represents its own faction. Each card in the game has an allegiance to one of these factions. The cards in each faction have their own unique abilities and their own unique devotion cost symbol, which lets you know which altar you must build in order to play that card from your hand. Altars. Altars are the currency of the game and the key to playing cards from your hand. Each of the 5 factions has its own distinct altar that can be used to play cards and use abilities associated with their god. Each turn, you can build 1 altar in each of your kingdoms. If you have 5 altars in a given kingdom and you have not already built an altar in that kingdom for turn, you may upgrade one of those altars to a temple. A temple can provide devotion for any god. Each card has a devotion cost, which indicates how many altars are required to play that card from your hand. In order to do so, you must exhaust the altars specified in that card's devotion cost. A number indicates that any altar can be exhausted to pay that cost. Exhausted altars cannot be used to provide devotion again until they become refreshed. The kingdom where you pay a card's devotion cost is where its effect will happen, so you must choose where to build your altars wisely. Each kingdom has a limit of any combination of 5 altars and temples, 3 followers, 3 miracles, and 3 kingdom-wide blessings. Each god has a unique effect that you can activate by paying 2 devotion of that god in any of your kingdoms. This is called channeling a god. For example, channeling Infestation creates a 1/1 insect token in the kingdom, in which you pay its channel cost. You may only channel a god once per turn. Followers. Each follower card has 7 important attributes: card name, devotion cost, follower type, card ability, zeal, faith, rarity. Followers enter play from your hand refreshed, but they cannot attack or bow on the same turn in which they entered a kingdom. Followers can be attacked by an enemy follower on the opponent's turn after they entered a kingdom, as long as they are refreshed. Zeal and faith. When a follower attacks an enemy follower, both of those followers engage in what is called a battle. A follower's zeal number refers to how much faith it will cause an enemy follower to lose in a battle. Both attacking followers and followers who are being attacked will cause the enemy follower to lose faith equal to their zeal. When a follower successfully attacks an enemy tower, that tower is breached. When a tower is breached by a follower, it loses faith equal to that follower's zeal. A follower's faith number refers to how much faith they can lose before they are forsaken. Followers stay in play until they are forsaken. This can happen when their faith falls to 0, or when a card forsakes them. When a follower is forsaken, it is placed into the discard pile, also known as the past. A follower's rarity determines how many of that card you can add to your deck. You can include 4 of any common, 3 of any uncommon, 2 of any rare, and one of any mythic in your deck. Attacking. Attacking with your followers is one of the easiest ways to cause the enemy tower to lose faith. You can only attack with one follower at a time. You may attack with multiple followers per turn. Once you attack with a follower, it becomes exhausted and may not attack again that turn, unless you are able to refresh it. Followers can only attack enemy followers and towers in the same kingdom as them. In order to attack, choose which friendly follower you want to attack with, and which enemy follower or undefended tower you want to attack with that follower. If your opponent has any refreshed followers in a kingdom, you cannot attack that kingdom's tower directly. You must first remove any refreshed enemy followers before you can attack that kingdom's enemy tower. If your opponent does not have any refreshed followers in a particular kingdom, you are free to attack their tower in that kingdom directly. Attacking causes your follower to become exhausted. Exhausted followers cannot attack, use a bow ability, and importantly, they cannot be attacked by enemy followers. Decrees. Decrees deliver powerful, one-time effects. When you play a decree, it is placed into the gate, so you can decide which follower your decree will target. After you play a decree and it fulfills its effect, it is placed directly into the past. Kingdom-wide blessings. Kingdom-wide blessings stick around and have long-lasting and powerful effects for as long as they remain in play. Kingdom-wide blessings affect the entire kingdom in which they are played. This can include enhancing the followers in that kingdom or changing the rules of that kingdom. Miracles. Miracles are a special type of card which are played face down and have a delayed effect. Miracles don't do anything when you first play them. Their effect remains a secret until your opponent performs the game action that is specified on the miracle card. Miracles can only flip up on your opponent's turn. Only when it is flipped face up does its effect then happen. The main phase. During your turn, you can take 6 distinct game actions. Build an altar or upgrade an altar to a temple in each of your kingdoms. Play a card in any kingdom in which you can satisfy its devotion cost. Activate an ability of one of your followers. This may cause them to bow. Channel a god. Attack with one of your friendly followers. Concede any of your kingdoms. You may do this if you think you cannot overcome your opponent's advantage in this kingdom and want to deny them the chance to use their resources in that kingdom on their next turn. When you concede a kingdom, your opponent wins that kingdom. When a player wins a kingdom, both players' cards in that kingdom are placed into the past. You may perform these actions in any order, and you may alternate back and forth between different actions multiple times. The refresh phase. During your refresh phase, which occurs at the start of your turn, all of your exhausted cards become refreshed, and you draw a card from the top of your deck. How to begin the game. One player will be randomly determined to take the first turn of the game. The player who goes first will draw 7 cards from the top of their deck. The player who goes second draws 8 cards. The mulligan phase. After each player draws their hand, they will have the option to choose which cards to keep and which cards to shuffle back into their deck. The cards you choose will be replaced by fresh cards from the top of your deck. You can only mulligan once. After each player mulligans, the game begins. Both players will skip the refresh phase on the first turn of the game. The player who goes first begins the game as the active player. The player who goes second is the inactive player. The active player is the only player who can take any of the 6 distinct main phase actions. As the inactive player, the only action you can make on your opponent's turn is to choose the target of an ability of a follower if it happens to trigger on your opponent's turn. You must also decide which cards you want to discard or tribute when your opponent forces you to do so. You can't play cards or take any of the 6 distinct main phase actions on your opponent's turn. Players will alternate taking turns as the active player until one player is victorious and has reduced 2 out of 3 of the enemy towers to 0 faith, or caused their opponent to concede their kingdoms. This concludes the tutorial. Now you're ready to play Forsaken. Thanks for watching. May the gods bless your kingdoms.